welcome back. Got a couple small things done and one more major thing, which I'll cover in a bit. But first, let's go through a couple of small things. I actually built this kit, which I've been wanting to build for a while. Very easy kit. It's by Wolfgang Langmesser Modellwelt from Germany. Verfallener der Schuppen. Obviously that's German. I apologize if that's not pronounced correctly. I like the look of it though, so I went ahead and built it and got it primed. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to put it, but I'm going to find a spot for it. It's a cool looking building. You can see it's been obviously seen better times. Nice little kit. I really like it. It's a resin kit. So I put it together with some super glue. Primed it with the airbrush with some Vallejo surface primer, and that's it. So, okay, that's one small thing I did, and that'll be painted up later on. And then I also got a bunch more of these pieces to be used for embankments and whatnot. These pieces here, the material I told you before, that came from Lowe's, basically to line pots and baskets for plants. So I worked on that, kind of teased it out and put some various ground foams on it. And this set over here is all the rubberized horsehair. There's the gaudy color it comes like. And again, these have been pulled apart, teased to make it a little bit more three-dimensional. And these pieces are covered with some ground foam, some leaf, Hecky leaf, MP scenery leaf, knock leaves, and some are, actually there's some tremendous stuff in there too that I got from them. So these pieces are pretty much done, you know, kind of just waiting to be installed when I work on the embankment. So I'm going to get those done. So they're ready to roll. And then really the major thing I worked on was the bridge over in I'll call it Wallace. So, oh, I also did, real quick, I'll throw a picture up. I added a sign to the single bungalow in Wallace Junction. Printed off signs and put it on my little 010 styrene and put it on. So, got that done too. Alright, let's go into the segment on the bridge. A lot longer part of the update because that's what I spent most of the time on. So, here we go with the bridge. Okay, well, it's Thanksgiving Day, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I was down in the basement, just kind of messing around, trying to figure out what I wanted to do after getting some of that scenery done. And I thought about this bridge here that I want to get in. And I initially was going to use the Rix, this bridge here, the Modern Highway Overpass, kind of a well-known kit. Not a bad kit. It doesn't look exactly like what I wanted. You can see it's got kind of the open grid below it, made out of basically I-beams, and that's not the look I wanted. The look I wanted was kind of this bridge here. Now this is the bridge that is over at CP Pack on the NS Pittsburgh line, and these photographs are terrible because well, the photograph is fine, the print is not good because my printer's out of ink, and being a holiday and I get ink through GE, I can't get ink. So anyway, so you can see what this looks like, and this is what I wanted to do. And you know, the more I look at it, it does have the concrete part along here, which is similar to the concrete piece you get in the kit, but the bottom is almost like a solid box. You can see, and it looks like it's from the photograph, and probably hard to tell in video, it looks like it's a metal piece, and it's all solid. It's not open on the bottom. I can tell. It's hard to see in the shadow. On the photograph, I can tell it's definitely solid all the way across. So I kind of like that look. And you can see how it kind of sits in the abutment here at this end, and the other parts sit on top. You can see they do have that shape, the typical bridge shape where they come down, kind of flare out at the bottom. And you can see how wide this particular bridge is. I don't know if it's a 12-foot lane, and it's probably about a 5-foot or so shoulder. So the Rix kit is nowhere near wide enough. They give you that. And if I were I'm not gonna be able to stand here and hold it all, holding the camcorder and holding the, you know, the pieces together and everything. But suffice it to say, there's no way it's wide enough. I mean, there's no way it's wide enough for a modern highway bridge. It's just way too narrow. So what I was looking at, you know, these pieces, I like the shape of them, because you can see they do have the right shape. It flares in like that. So that, you know, definitely matches this. So I was trying to come up with a way that I could use these pieces, and here's kind of what I came up with. This kind of looks like the bridge. What I did was I started off with, this is all just kind of taped together now, but to get this portion I used that. I put a, you can see in the little notch there, there's an 040 piece of styrene, and then there's this 2mm, which is just about 080. So it adds up to about 1/8 of an inch roughly, which is kind of what that pocket is. So that all kind of fits together. And I have another video. This is that 2mm craft foam. Kathy Millett has a good video on how to make roads with the material, and I really like it. So I might try to use that material for the road surface. Because this road, again, it's really hard to tell. It is concrete. It has a definite texture to it. If I had just used a flat piece of styrene in there, which I could have, that's so smooth, and yeah, you can paint it, but it's hard to get a good texture to it. So I like this material. So I came up with that, kind of a little bit of a sandwich there, and then that way I could actually glue it together and basically make the styrene, the foam, and this as an assembly. And then I thought, well, how am I going to do this? Because I like the way it looks. You can see it's set back a little bit. And then looking at it, I thought, well, it's roughly, you know, the same height as this. I didn't take measurements of the bridge or anything, but I have a lot more photographs of the bridge. But so I'm looking at it and I said, well, it's about the same size. Or the height here is about the same as the height here. And I started messing around, and I found a 1/2 inch piece of plywood. And if you look at it, and the way this sits, this part of the outer part of the Rix piece, it sticks out a little bit, but I kind of like the way it looks. You can see on the photograph it's flush. You know, it's not out from, it's all smooth in there. Well, okay. You know, I'm lazy, so I was just going to keep it. I thought, well, I could sand that down. I said, forget it. I'm just going to keep the piece and use it as is. I mean, it's not like I'm trying to win an architectural prize here. And then, if I do that, I could basically put this in, set this right on top of it, or, you know, glue it together. And then what I would do, I would take a piece of probably 040 styrene and then put it in there, glue that in underneath, because that's got a nice smooth surface, and that would simulate what I'm assuming is a metal or steel piece in there. So that, I think that would look pretty good. I kind of like the way it looks. Like I said, it's all just kind of taped together now, and you see I made it wider. In fact, it's a lot wider than the road. I should have made that road wider. This is set up to have two 12-foot lanes and roughly a 3-foot shoulder on the side. It's probably not quite wide enough, but I don't want to go too crazy, but I think I can work that in okay. And then obviously I'll have the guardrails, because the guardrails do come out. If you look here, see the guardrails come off the end of the bridge for quite a ways around the bend there. And there's guardrails on this side. As I said, I have a lot of pictures of the actual details of how the guardrails are made and secured to the bridge, so I can bring the guardrails then off here, attach them to the concrete part, and bring them up a little bit. Same on this side, which I did some gouging out to fit it in. And then over on this side, you know, same thing. I'll probably bring the guardrail out a little bit and then come down like they do when it's, because it's flat on this side. So I think I can make that work. And I think it looks, well, you know, once I get the styrene piece here to make it look more like metal, paint that to look like concrete. And there's a couple little, probably from the mold, I got to fill in and smooth out with some putty, and I can do that. I think it's going to look relatively good. And it's kind of the look I've been going for. Of course, I had to do a test. Plenty of clearance there for the double stacks. Always got to check. So that looks good. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get this done before I go back, because this really won't be that hard to do. I just got to figure out how to paint this to look like concrete. Although I have seen asphalt bridges as well. So it would not be totally unprototypical to have this as asphalt. But I kind of like the look of concrete, so I'll consider that. But this is, I think, the technique I'm going to use to build this bridge. Then obviously got to fill in this area here, that area there. Okay, that shouldn't be too hard. So I probably can get this done in the next day or two. At least get it done. Probably won't have the guardrails done and everything, but I can have this in, set in. I do got to figure out, you can see how the abutment is here. It's a big, long, tall abutment, and the bridge sits right into it. So I did something similar to that here. I'll probably try to do something under here. I don't think I'm going to bring it all the way down just because of the slope that I have here. Maybe put something smaller in here that I can set into, a piece of concrete that, same type of shape. Imagine I did it, it's only about that tall. And then my hill kind of slopes down from there. And I've seen photographs of bridges where, this area here is all stone. Maybe even a wire mesh over it. Because this is going to be a relatively new bridge. I'm going to pretend it got replaced for whatever reason. So do something like that on the two sides for the abutments to get them in. Still got to figure that out. Not sure. I don't have any kit abutments. I don't want to have to order something and wait. I like to get this done now. So I might try to build something. And I have all kinds of foam pieces laying around, or even maybe something out of just, make a boxy type thing out of styrene or something like that. But I'll think about that. But I can always get this done. And if I don't get that far, I can always be ready just to set in there, boom. But I'd like to get it done. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do to make a bridge that looks like that. A modern type bridge. I think the Rix kit will be usable, at least in terms of using the side pieces, because they have the right shape to them. On the inside there, they got the right shape where it comes down to the road. Looks pretty darn good. Probably what I will do, you can see how this is kind of sectioned off. I'll probably come back and actually to kind of scribe those lines in there to make it look like it's sectioned like it is here. You can see I don't know if they're like an 8-foot section or a 10-foot section. I think it's about a 10-foot section, but whatever, I'll pick something. And then now it's joined in here because, again, I'm lazy. I didn't feel like that's actually one piece, and I didn't feel like cutting it. So I said, okay, I'll make it that long. Perfect. Use 2 pieces, not to worry about cutting it. That's just because I'm lazy, to be honest. But there's 2 pieces there. So I'm going to use 2 of those, no cutting, just glue them together. There's a seam I'll use there, then kind of measure off that for the other seams that I'll put in. So, alright, so that's what I'm going to do there. I think it'll look pretty good for a replacement, a modern type bridge. And the biggest thing now is to get this part all put together and figure out what I'm going to do for abutments. And I'll have this bridge done. And I can get the scenery moving along. So, okay, more to follow as I move ahead and hopefully get this done before I go back to Homer City. Alright, made some progress here. I guess you'd call it that. This morning I kind of got this cut to the final length and was doing some testing with different adhesives, since that's plywood, this is the foam, and that's styrene. The glue, the adhesive you use is kind of important. So I played around with some different stuff and found out that weld bond didn't work, tacky glue didn't work. I mean, it held it there, but I could rip it right up again. So it looks like if I use plyo bond from the styrene to the plywood, and then just plain old super glue for the foam to the styrene, everything seems to hold together pretty good. At least the samples I did look pretty good. I also did some test painting to get some samples of the different paint colors and what it looks like on the foam. I think I'm going to go with this. This is that's just the simple Woodland Scenics concrete top coat, and it looks good. It looks a lot like the photographs I have of the bridge that had the the deck be concrete. I mean, the road up to it was asphalt, and then asphalt, and it was a concrete bridge. And that looks pretty good. And that's just the paint. So once you get some pigments on it and some more weathering, I think that's going to be a winner. So I've also played around a little bit with how I'm going to make the abutments. I got it kind of figured out. Then I'm going to cut it out with a notch so it's level with the plywood when it comes in. That puts the base of the concrete railing here, whatever you call it, right about that level, because of the bridge I'm kind of modeling after. It looks like they have another little piece that sticks out like that, and it's kind of flared out at a little bit of an angle. It's kind of hard to see here. I'm just kind of hand holding everything. And then off that angle piece, I can't point because I got one hand on the camcorder and one hand on this thing. But anyway, that's angled out, and then the guardrail comes in and attaches to the angle piece. So I'll attach a guardrail to that, and there's also like a drain, probably for for water runoff. So I'll put a drain either here or here, and then on that side as well. And then there's some pipes that will then stick out underneath where the water then would run down. And that's how the bridge I'm looking at does it. So I'd have to do some work over here. Probably you can see I'm probably going to have to widen this up a little bit. That's all just foam, so I can just carve that away. And I'm probably going to, since I have a little bit here, use some 3/16 or so foam core from my old photography days when I would mat and photographs. Again, this is just kind of a sample, but then I'll bring that piece in, and I'll probably, this is all going to fall apart now, extend the foam to come right out to the edge of the layout, and figure out exactly how it's going to go so everything's nice and level. Scribe a line here, paint that the concrete color, paint that asphalt. Probably just bring it here to the edge of the bridge on this side, and then work it into the road over here. I might actually take some of this foam and redo the road over here because I like the way it looks. So, alright, a little bit of a in progress there. So now I need to go back. I think what I'm going to do now is plyo bond this to the plywood base, maybe get the sides on so I can get that done and dried. Cut this piece the length that I want it, get that glued on, let that dry, then I can paint this, get that all painted up. Then I got to work on these because A, they're the wrong color, and B, they have I don't know if it's going to show up on this, but they got dimples on them that I got to fill in. Either that or sand it. Anyway, hard to see. Get these all painted up so they're all ready. Then I need to finalize what I'm going to do for the abutment. I found, if I cut this foam with a real sharp, I'm actually using a Woodland Scenics foam knife with a brand new blade. It cuts pretty good. And then get that all figured out. And get these in on this side and this side where I want them. I'm going to have to cut this, I think. This here I'll have to cut. Where did I draw that line? Right there. Because it's in the way. This is going to want to sit back here. So that's in the way. So I'll have to just cut that off. And then work the abutment for that side. So, okay. Hey, let's keep working and see if I can actually pull this thing off before I have to go back to this job. Hey, we are back. Doing some work here. Coming along fairly well. I got the little road level. Not super critical. Alright, so I got the abutments figured out. I got them cut. And I got this side pretty much already all leveled off. Like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the foam right across and out to the edge of the layout since it's so close. So, got that piece. Pardon me. Got a piece here to level it. They're just sitting there right now. Obviously, got to do some work back here. Cut the bridge. Everything's glued down. I primed the sides. So that's getting ready to go. And then what I'm going to do, this will be here. I'm still going to work on some of the slope, around it. Fill that in with scoop to mold. Same on this side. Get that glued in. Get that worked. change the slope a little bit, and then be ready to go. And then what I probably can do is these can be painted and installed and just sit there, and waiting for the bridge to come in while they go back and work a little bit more on the bridge. I did prime the concrete sides, the barriers. They're all primed, and let them dry for a little bit. And getting pretty close. Next thing will be to glue the foam onto this, and then paint it, and get it in here. Like I said, I got to do a little bit more work in this area, but definitely getting there. So, okay. So to show that, and we're going to keep plugging away here and try to get this done. And we continue on, and I made another slight change. It just didn't look quite right with the slope of the hills coming down. It looked too steep. So I said, let's... Ooh, CSX train. Let's put some retaining walls in there. I think that looks a little bit better. Obviously, it still have to be worked in with the sculpt the mold. But I got this side in. I'm going to have this side set up. Probably put these in a little after we get everything in, but I got everything leveled up. So I think it's going to look pretty interesting. So now I'm going to go over, I'm going to paint the abutments. Maybe come back and get a little bit, well, I'm going to wait. I'm going to paint them up. Maybe even put a little graffiti on them, because the ones I have, the prototypes, believe it or not, somehow kids got up there and sprayed stuff up there. Don't ask me. So, and things are looking pretty level. Not that that's super critical, but so I'll take the bridge and work on it a little bit too. For now, here we'll put it on top of the mountain, yay! And then I can get those abutments in and basically have it like that, all scenic, or re-scenic and everything, then just kind of waiting to put the bridge in. So I'm gonna keep working on this, and let's see again how far I can get. Alrighty, got a little bit more done here. You can see I got the sculpt the mold in. That's kind of how it's looking at the moment. Everything right now, this is just sitting here. I just wanted to kind of see what that's gonna look like. They gotta be, they cut new pieces for that. But all that's in. And this right here is just sitting there. I'm just kind of, for when it's drying up, just in case it wants to move or anything like that. But there's the one abutment on that side. Retaining wall. And then on this side. Wait, move my hand up the camcorder here. So, those are in there and set. And tomorrow we'll come in here and get it painted up. Maybe can sprinkle on a little ground foam, just to kind of blend it all back in again, because the white sure does stick out like a sore thumb. And then clean the track, because I dribbled some sculpt the mold on it. Alright, that's it for tonight. Let's see how things progress tomorrow. Okay, a little more in progress stuff here. Pretty much have this, I'll call it the base scenery done. Still needs obviously some more, and we'll get to that before too long, but I'm going to go ahead and probably stop here because I have to go back, and you can see we got some interested folks here trying to see what's going on. I think they're going to check out the bridge as a possible new rail fanning spot. So I got this, some of the dirt in there. I'll probably leave that dirt. Got a couple drain pipes added. And just for fun, I added this pipe. I don't know why it's there. I just felt like doing something fun, so there it is. And there's their car. I was wondering how they got there. And then this side. And that side's pretty much done again. Now I got to come back, and I'm going to leave the dirt here and here. That's kind of the way it looks, at least on the bridge that I'm trying to real loosely model. And then I'll get the other scenery and up and around it. So let me do a quick drone shot here. Alright, so those are the abutments. Now I'm just going to set the bridge in and see how it looks. Alright, there's a rough idea what it's going to look like. Not too bad. I think I kind of capture the look of the bridge I'm trying to get. Again, it's kind of a conglomeration of the bridge at CP Pack and the bridge of Route 5 west of Lake City over the CSX, and there's kind of some freelancing too, just for fun. So, and it's not done yet. I still need to stripe it, which I'll get to eventually. And it's not set in. Still got to work on the ends and aligning some of the things, and obviously getting the road on that side. Got a bit of work to do to get that worked in, but we'll get it. And I came a little bit short here on this side. That was one sheet of that foam, but that's okay. I can make that work. I don't think it looks that bad. I'm not totally happy with the concrete look, but I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. You can agonize over stuff forever and ever. And that does kind of capture the look. Not bad for a piece of plywood and some parts from a Rix Modern bridge. It looks like, it looks plausible. Again, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I think for the intent, it captures the look. I like it better than just like the plain old stock Rix bridge. I'm glad I decided to take the effort to, I don't know if we call it a kit bash or a scratch build. I guess it's kind of a scratch bash. I don't know. But that's it. So I'll go ahead and get packed up, heading back to site. So I'll get this up and posted. Got a couple other things I'm trying to maybe get done when I'm down there. We'll see. But so that's it. That's the bridge. And when I get back home again, probably just before Christmas, I'll go ahead and get it striped, get the markings on the bridge, and then obviously there's more scenery got to be done all around it there. And then probably I want to get that road done and finished with the foam. So that will be that for now. Not bad. I mean, kind of looking at it through the viewfinder. I'm not sure how it's going to look on the video, but it does capture the look. Not too bad. Okay, that is that. So more to come. Like I said, I'm heading back to the site soon to be on the job. So the updates are going to drop off for a little bit. But hopefully before Christmas, get back home and spend some time, have a little time off, and get to work and get a lot more done. So hopefully these last couple updates at least let you know we're still here and whet your appetite for things to come. And we'll be back and more updates as time does allow. So I do want to thank everybody for watching. Do appreciate it. Everyone stay safe, and we'll be back in a couple weeks.